6 months continually can take off on vacation saved up. And I asked the younger generation, their answer, what they're thinking, moron. And I ask you, the young people, no loyalty, no commitment. Sir, sorry. Try to remember when you were their age, family, young kids, you're working overseas and need to go home for a holiday or your parents' birthday or something. The problem that causes, the root cause of all these issues, not everything can be classified as right or wrong. Sometimes it's just different. The young generation likes work-life balance. Sorry, you and I may not like it, Mr. Chairman, but that's the new world order. You think it's a badge of honor? Great. Keep doing that, but don't complain to other people when they take vacation. Because it's going to cause turnover and concern that the top management is not aligned with the younger generation's preferences, which means he won't direct the HR system to change to allow more flexibility how to use your vacation time. So a simple thing like that can derail progress in a large country. So Vietnam, right? Our average age of employee in Vietnam is 28. In my headquarters, it's 58, 56 rather. We just fired a few old people to get the number lower. Just kidding. So I take a manager from Taiwan and I transfer them, who's 60. They're used to managing 58-year-olds. Not very difficult, right? I take the same manager and move them to Vietnam. Now they have to manage a 28-year-old in a different culture, with different laws, right, and a different language. Not so easy. Right? So I have to more carefully choose who's the manager in Vietnam versus who's the manager in Taiwan, because the complexity and the difficulty of managing is totally different. And because they manage well in Taiwan is no guarantee they will manage well in Vietnam or someplace else. But the opposite, they don't manage people very well in Taiwan, then don't even consider sending them to another country, because their effectiveness is going to drop. So organization design, we worry about two things: keeping employees engaged, and can my investments scale? If I don't have engaged employees, I can run to another country, chase cheap labor. I'm not going to be more profitable, and I'm not going to be more innovative. If I'm not innovative, I don't have scalability. I don't have the ability to start a new business, right? So if I buy a local ERP system here because it's cheap and it's coded in Mandarin so most of my people can understand it, and I send it to another country where the IT people can't understand it and can't adjust it, guess what? That's not a scalable investment, right? The people won't use the tool. They'll keep using workarounds. Do you just trust your business team to do this, or should your HR team be the lead on this? This country, unfortunately, HR should lead this, but they don't. So a lot of countries now, we see HR, IT, they have their own centralized funding. They can develop their own training tools. They don't need money from a business unit or direction from a business unit. I want to change out the equipment on the production line. Probably don't need to ask my HR team to take the lead on that, right? But I want to train a team of global leaders. Probably better to ask my HR team to lead that than a business leader, right? Because the HR team is more focused on that, right? They know how to measure progress. They'll understand the laws in different countries and investigate the resources where I can set up global training centers or global R&D centers, right? But historically, even an R&D center, oh, the business unit leader, oh, I need that in this country. They don't check, can I find the resources there? Are the intellectual property laws strong enough that I can actually develop those kind of products there and patent them? Right? That actually belongs under the administration team, right? To do the investigation, right? The leader can decide which R&D people to send, and then you double check with the HR system. But most companies here have it upside down. That's the danger in an organization where there's one profit center and everyone else is a cost center. There's no real check and balance in decision making. Right? That's why even TSMC, they fall on their face overseas. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're in Germany and you have a lawsuit for an employment issue, you're going to lose. Right? Because the laws are enforced. Right? It's not like here where you can sometimes compromise or negotiate your way around it, right? Nordic countries the same, right? US, the laws, they actually mean something, right? The judge has very little room to deviate from the law, right? So, most companies in Asia still use this. So a top management decision, our case, expand a chemical factory. Okay, they know how to do that. But how to redirect the HR system or how to set up a training center in a country that we just developed. So I'll give you another real world example. Our parent company, we have around 20,000 employees globally. More than 50% are now in Vietnam. We don't have a training center in Vietnam. So I asked them last week, well, that's a very good idea. Yes, but it was also a very good idea when you had 4,000 employees, not 10,000, right? What are you waiting for? And the population base in Taiwan keeps shrinking, right? And the employment base shrinks because we move most of the production overseas. Why do we have this training center here that's almost empty? We have no training center where we have the most people. Or, my team redid the corporate website last year. Someone, executive, asked me to save cost. Okay, you have a suggestion? Yeah. Too many languages, you can remove Vietnamese. You know we have more employees in Vietnam than any other country. And you know the translation tool is basically an AI bot that we pay 199 NT a month for, right? So it's hardly going to save you anything. But if it makes you happy, the 199 NT I'll pay by myself, okay? So I can't always put these kind of decisions into the hands of the business leader or cost control team, right? They need to be in HR because an HR person would say, wrong. You're not saving any money, and the largest employment base is there, and it keeps getting bigger, right? Put the website in their language. Real world example from a company running for 75 years, but its profit has decreased continually for the last 10. Still no urgency to change, right? Can I tell them you used to work in the group? Don't think any less of it. If I do this, how about my turnover rate for young people? I'm guessing it's going to be better, right? My ability to attract young talent, probably better, right? But, flip side, oh, this served us well for 60 years. Great, but you know what? Like I said, you thought COVID was a big shock? nothing compared to what's coming, right? So that 60-year period is basically irrelevant for my forward decision making, right? Taiwan, what do we have? A shrinking population, right? Low birth rate, right? Top three from the bottom in birth rate for almost 20 years, right? Now, I study medicine, so I may have an advantage in answering this question, but even you improve the birth rate today, right? How long before you can hire that person?